This is TechVibe Radio, your front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation ecosystem. TechVibe is brought to you by Compunetics at compunetics.com, Chorus Call at choruscall.com, Highmark at highmark.com, Huntington Bank at huntington.com, Kindling at kindlingagency.com, PNC Bank at pnc.com, and Savior at savior.com. Here are your hosts, Audrey Russo and Jonathan Kersting of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, coming at you from the Huntington Bank studios. Good morning. Thanks for joining me for TechVibe Radio. I'm so happy to give you a front row seat to all the great stuff happening here in Pittsburgh's technology ecosystem. My voice sounds a little rough this morning because I just got back from the Automate 2024 conference in Chicago. If you don't know Automate, it is North America's largest robotics and automation event. As such, with Pittsburgh being such a power player with robotics, we were there in force. We were hanging out with the Pittsburgh Robotics Network, the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, the Institute, and a bunch of robotics companies to show the world just how strong Pittsburgh's robotics sector is. It was just an amazing, almost overwhelming 3 days of just everything and anything around robotics. And it was so much fun to see all the Pittsburgh ties there. So I was grabbing interviews with everybody and anybody that I possibly could to bring it back to you so you can learn more about our Pittsburgh companies as I was in Chicago talking to them. To start the show off today, though, I, of course, grabbed an interview with Jen Apicella, who is the executive director of the Pittsburgh Robotics Network. The PRN led up the bulk of the effort to get everybody there and to make the presence at Automate. And I wanted to give you a little background on her and really so you can learn more about what the PRN is up to and how they're trying to build our robotics industry right here in Pittsburgh.
There's no other place you want to be if you're in automation, if you're looking to invest in these technologies, buy these technologies, or you just want to see what is the latest and greatest of these technologies. And on the commercial side, right? Because in innovation, you can see a lot of things in a lab. And that doesn't mean that there's really anything for you to do with them. But these are all of the different things that you can either buy, adopt, or use today, commercially ready, commercially available across every kind of market that you can imagine. And so it's like a carnival of chaos here with everything automated, arms everywhere, and pieces and parts and components and innovations and startups and large enterprises. And this is where you go to put your finger on the pulse. It's Automate, and it's, this year we're in Chicago.
It's so exciting. Like I said, the number of robotic arms here is kind of blowing my mind. I think the ratio of robotics arms to people is 1-to-1.
It is a sea of arms for sure. I mean, that's sort of where the sort of industrial sector started. So it makes sense that you'd see that maturity level, right? Because each one does a completely different thing. So many different purposes, so many different problems that these things are solving. And so, and it's not just arms though. I mean, certainly they steal the show a lot, and there's a whole variety of them and lots of different companies, new ones every time. I can't keep up. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of other really interesting things as well. And it's hard to take it all in. It's a massive show.
We need a few days to get through it all because you get a little overwhelmed by it. So I'm so glad that we're here. Is this the first time that the PRN has brought a delegation here to Automate?
So this is actually our third year here at Automate. The Pittsburgh Robotics Network, we partner right with the Association for Advancing Automation, who produces the show. And so Jeff Bernstein and his team are fantastic. And every year this thing keeps getting bigger and better than ever. And so, in year one, we started with just a very small booth and brought a couple startups. And one of those startups, this was their very first show. And so they didn't even know how to print a tablecloth to put on, to represent their logo. And so we sort of taught them how do you talk to customers, and how do you get their attention? How do you get them to go from the aisle over to what you're doing and be fascinated by it? And guess what? One of those companies that very next year presented on the Startup Showcase stage, the Automate Startup Showcase, and they won. They won $10,000. So Pittsburgh took home the prize. That success story is also here with us this year, eStat Actuation. They're doing amazing things with their electric glue, as they say, in actuation technology.
I just like saying electric glue. It's so cool.
I know. It's who wouldn't want to learn more about some electric glue, right?
And it's not what you quite think it is, but it sure sounds cool. But the idea of these clutches and brakes that make robotics happen. It's these parts inside robotics is where Pittsburgh is also very strong. It's not just the robots that our companies produce, but it's the parts that make the robots and the vision systems and so forth. And that's all on display here.
It really is.
It's mesmerizing me. I'm just so stoked to be part of this and to be hanging out. I've interviewed so many cool companies here. I'm like, oh my God. You're from Pittsburgh.
Well, and this year at the Automate Theater, the Startup Showcase, we have 2 Pittsburgh startups that pitched on the stage for that as well, Moito and Grasp. And Grasp was actually part of the Build Back Better Robotics Factory cohort. So they went through the Accelerate program for the Robotics Factory, and now here they are on stage at Automate.
That's so cool. You're actually seeing the whole process working in Pittsburgh, where we have this wonderful ecosystem to help a company go from research to startup, to bring them to a place where you can show them how to talk to customers, to going to the startup competition, to acquiring capital and building their product. It's a whole thing, and it all kind of lands here for a few days at Automate, which is just so much fun for me.
That's exactly right. It's been really fun as people walk by the booth. The shocking part about this is how many people have a Pittsburgh connection. So there are so many people coming over, and they're so excited to see Pittsburgh here. Oh, I went to school in Pittsburgh, or oh, I lived in Pittsburgh, or oh, my cousin. Everyone is, and they're all very it's very joyful. It's very, and they're proud to see it here. They're like, oh yeah, I know something going. I knew something was going on in Pittsburgh before anyone else did.
It's like they say there's a Steelers bar everywhere, and I've been discovering the same thing where people, they know Pittsburgh.
That's right.
And it's like, but did you know about our great robotics industry? And they kind of like, I had some ideas, but then when they kind of come through your booth here with all these different companies, they get a real kind of cross section of everything we're doing here. And I always use this term, man, it's like Pittsburgh proud for me. I see this, I'm like, this is Pittsburgh, man. It makes me proud.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's what we do. I mean, our mission is to serve this cluster of companies and these businesses. And the time is now, right? The world is automating now. People want this kind of technology, and they want it. It's becoming cheaper and more commoditized and easier to get now that AI and other type of platform technologies are becoming more readily available. That's actually making costs come down to develop and produce these things, which makes it easier to buy and easier to sell too. And so that's why stuff like this is incredibly important.
So what do you hope to get out of this at the end of the day? I mean, obviously it's so great you brought companies back, but I'm sure you're bringing back contacts, people you're going to be following up with, because Pittsburgh's a place. You can do business with us, bring a company here, bring some research out, or whatever that may be. Pittsburgh's an option.
That is exactly right. The menu of opportunity is vast. And so we have engagement programs. And so as we talk to people, we are here to help them engage with Pittsburgh and engage with Pennsylvania as a whole as well. Pennsylvania has a lot going for it in manufacturing. We have AI and technology, Pittsburgh being that innovation hub. And so what we do is we are that bridge. So I've been meeting with VC funds, right, who are looking for companies to invest in. And so I certainly can help you with that. Talking to people who are suppliers, right? So they sell pieces and parts and components. Well, we've got over 120 robotics companies who buy pieces and parts. So perhaps, want to spend some time in Pittsburgh, help them engage in that way. And then we have other robotics companies who are sort of like, I'm looking to either expand my operations out of another city, out of another country, and really expand my market share. Well, we can certainly help you with that as well. So I don't think I've had a conversation where there wasn't some way to help them engage with Pittsburgh.
I can't say how much fun I had at Automate. And when we get back from the break, I'm going to bring you a bunch of interviews, just kind of rapid fire almost, with some of the coolest companies that are out there. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be so much fun bringing you this, because I know I had so much fun, and I just love being able to put a spotlight on all things Pittsburgh, especially Pittsburgh Robotics. So hang on for this quick break. And in case you forgot, I am Jonathan Kersting. I'm with the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and you can learn more about us by going to pghtech.org. Every company needs to attract and keep talented people. To do it, you need a strong company story told by those who experience it every day, your employees. So invite your people to be your brand voice and let the Kindling Culture Agency gather and ignite your stories to engage and attract your people. Learn how at sparksomething.big.com. That's sparksomething.big.com. The Smart Manufacturing Experience is coming to Pittsburgh June 4th through 5th at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Go to smartmanufacturingexperience.com to register today. That's smartmanufacturingexperience.com. Compunetics is the leading developer of unified voice, video, and data collaboration and conferencing applications for the service provider, government, and unique workflow applications. The Summit Olympus and Evergreen platforms, driven by their encrypted user interfaces, enable powerful and secure collaboration. Combined with world-class support and innovative professional services, Compunetics delivers the right solution every time. Learn more at compunetics.com. Your dial is set to TechVibe Radio, brought to you by Compunetics, Chorus Call, Highmark, Huntington Bank, Kindling, PNC Bank, and Savier. Here are your hosts, Audrey Russo and Jonathan Kersting of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, coming at you from the Huntington Bank studios. Thanks for joining me for TechVibe Radio. So much fun having you here, and I cannot wait to bring you, as I promised, my interviews from some of Pittsburgh's best and brightest robotics companies as I was hanging out at Automate 2024 in Chicago. Got a bunch of interviews here. They're kind of rapid fire. We'll work our way through them. I just know you're going to enjoy them. I am talking to Stephen Muck from Advanced Construction Robotics. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It's great to run into you here at the showcase.
Jonathan.
So tell me about Advanced Construction Robotics. You guys are doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, we think so. I mean, we've been at it now. This is the 6th year since founding the company, and I think we're exciting and unique in that we're a problem-driven organization, and what I mean by that is, I was a contractor in the heavy civil space long before I was in robotics. So we've been in robotics now 6 years. I've been in the heavy civil construction market for 31, and we've been in the private equity business, investing in tech for about 10 with Grouse Ridge Capital. So, makes us a very unique organization.
I've never heard of that combination before, and I'm absolutely enthralled by it. So tell me, what does Advanced Construction Robotics do? Like, tell me about your products and how you help solve these problems, because I like it when problems are being solved.
Yeah, Advanced Construction Robotics is it's a construction robotics development company. We focus on, the labor-intense, risky, other areas where we can provide labor that is very difficult to find. We can provide services that reduce safety risks, improve schedules, and just boost productivity in items that, have a high labor intensity.
I have Alan Hinchman. Alan, I'm glad I ran into you here. It's always great to see a fellow Pittsburgher, especially a company like GrayMatter, hanging out here at Automate. What are you doing at Automate here today?
So one of the things that GrayMatter does is work with a lot of industrial customers to help them think through how do we improve their industrial intelligence. And what that means is how do we improve product quality? How do we know more about those product quality? How do we drive better things? How do we get more yield? And Automate's a great place for folks that are thinking about that. They're coming here looking at a lot of really cool tech, and GrayMatter's just kind of in the middle of all of it.
You guys are definitely in the middle of all of it. So GrayMatter to me is one of these amazing companies in Pittsburgh that not everyone maybe knows about, but you're solving really tough problems. I mean, you have customers like Mattel and stuff where you're helping their factories just operate at peak efficiency as far as that is. And the idea that you're behind these companies, like you're kind of like that magic that makes the product come out and come out safely as well too. And also, some big news. Tell me about the big news with Tailwinds. I mean, this is something that we just broke this past week.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, we are delighted that we have some incredible friends in the manufacturing world. And like you said, some of the biggest names in the Fortune 500 are customer of ours. And one of the things that allows us to do is really drive incredibly important stories and products and things with people. One of the things that happened this past week is Tailwind Capital decided to invest in us. So we had been PE owned for a few years. We acquired a number of businesses and built into about a 300-person automation business with 7 offices, which a lot of folks don't realize that we're actually that big nationally.
Well, I mean, you just kind of blew my mind there when you said 300 people, because it's like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we've doubled in about the last 3 years. We'll continue to grow, and so what this really does is it says we're in the right space. We're in the industrial space. We're in the OT space. And the way that we think about it is how do you think about cybersecurity on the plant floor? How do we make sure that all of the IP, whether that is a recipe of something or how you manufacture something, stays with your business? And then how do you get more yield out of that asset?
Today, I'm talking to John Vecchio of Lucas Systems. He's the VP of Sales. John, you're no stranger to the Tech Council, and we're so glad to see you here today. So, John, first off, tell us about what Lucas Systems is up to. We know you're kind of like the voice of manufacturing in so many ways. Tell me about the company.
Yeah, so we are a software company. We're located in Pittsburgh. We've been around for 26 years now. And yes, we're at a robotics focused show, being a software company. But we're in the business of helping solve problems within distribution centers and warehouses, but also inside or near assembly plants for manufacturing as well. The ways we do that, one, we start with voice-directed picking or replenishment, put away different functions within the warehouse. We integrate with a WMS and take that data and make that data smart. We start to use that to actually optimize and orchestrate the work on the warehouse floor. So what's really interesting at a show like this is, how does that marry up, the manual side of optimizing labor, people on a warehouse floor? How do you marry that up with all the different robotic solutions that are coming into play? And the future, frankly, for most use cases is a mixed environment where you've got both people and you've got robots working side by side. That's kind of where I think everyone's aiming. There's maybe some use cases where somebody is doing everything almost all autonomously, but those are few and far between.
I've been seeing lots of signs for cobots, which is where the robots work alongside. And I think you're exactly right. That's why I see how Lucas Systems, your technology plays right into the ecosystem of an advanced manufacturing floor. So if they're deploying robotics, it makes such sense that they'd be having on the human side of things, having a little Jenny in your ear, telling you where to pick up the next goods and put it into the system where maybe the robot takes over and so forth. So it's really fun to see how technology and manufacturing and warehousing all just kind of merge together right here. We're talking to Titan Robotics. They're here with a nice display. Actually, I turned part of their display that's over in our Pittsburgh Robotics section into my podcast studio. I made a nice quiet corner, but now I'm at their booth, and I'm talking to Thaddeus Magyar, okay, and we have Alex Klinger. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I want to learn more about Titan Robotics, and I want to know about what you guys are doing here at Automate. So Alex, give me the elevator pitch for what Titan Robotics is all about.
So Titan Robotics is really a company that develops solutions for our customers. So we want to understand the processes that our customers are trying to automate, and then we want to build a system that will identify and sense what the problem, what the customer needs done to a part in front of our robot, and then automatically plan and execute whatever needs to happen to get that product or that part from a starting state to a final state. So our robots are tools, and we give our tools to our customers to help them be more efficient, to get people out of hazardous environments, and to really just make their businesses more successful.
So what kind of customers do you have? I think you got some pretty crazy cool customers doing some really neat projects. Give me an example if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So we serve the aerospace industry and general industry across many different process types. So the aerospace industry, we work both commercially and with the Department of Defense, so working across the different aerospace fleets that are out there. So if there's a plane that's flying, we probably have a system that works on a part either related to it or that flies on it.
Talking to Dupont Powell from Voaige. Dupont, thanks for hanging out with me today. Tell me all about your company. This is exciting stuff of what you guys are up to.
Hey, really thanks. Thanks for coming out, of course, and connecting. So we are a company that does vision systems for system integrators and end users, trying to let them automate the hardest challenges. We're starting with food, logistics, and CPG. And why food? Because, like every food that we actually see looks different. So the AI and the robots can't really adjust and know how to grab something. How do you grab a sandwich? How do you grab a chicken wing? Every chicken wing looks different. We let them automate that. And we let them do this, and sort of they can improve their operations. Everyone's happy. The end users are happy. The integrators are happy. And of course, we get to deploy some projects. That's what we do in a nutshell.
You make it sound so simple, but I'm looking at your video and you see a robotic arm trying to pick up like a piece of chicken breast in a pile. And that's something I think traditionally they have to be like in a straight line in order for them to pick them up. And you're able to actually take a pretty chaotic environment and allow this robot to work, which I think is pretty cool, which is once again solving lots of problems because we got to get our food sorted and it's got to be safe. And also I believe you're finding like defective merchandise, I guess for lack of a better term, while it is sorting things out. Tell me about that.
That's a great point. The food industry cares a lot about safety and quality. So what you want to do, while you want to sort these chicken breasts out and sort of like automate the entire process of packing them and doing these things, you want to check for defects. You want to check for whether the chicken breast is up to quality, whether some of the pork lines or anything that we work with, actually, any kind of produce is up to quality. So the companies really care about this kind of stuff. And what we find is that anytime they want to automate something, this problem needs to be solved because right now people are doing it.
Hey, thanks again for joining me for TechVibe Radio. This has been Jonathan Kersting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council. We're having way too much fun bringing you everything and anything we can about Pittsburgh's technology sector. And if you want to learn more about the Pittsburgh Technology Council, please go to pghtech.org and you can learn so much about how the Tech Council can help your company succeed. I hope you have an awesome Sunday. Thanks for geeking out with us on TechVibe Radio. Tune in next Sunday for more tech and innovation stories right here from Pittsburgh. TechVibe is brought to you by Compunetics at Compunetics.com, Chorus Call at ChorusCall.com, Highmark at Highmark.com, Huntington Bank at Huntington.com, Kindling at TheKindlingAgency.com, PNC Bank at PNC.com, and Savior at Savior.com. And we're always coming at you from the Huntington Bank Studios.